Today we're going to plog the Umpherston sinkhole. That's how you pronounce it.
I'm Trinity, and this is Plog Vlog. Real places, a little litter picked up, and one true idea we test against the day. We're in Mount Gambier in South Australia, about 1,600 kilometres from home, and the streets here are startlingly tidy. Wind ticks through dry grass above the sinkholes. The blue lake sits like a giant eye. Today's lens is simple to name and hard to live with: social status and the fragility of tying our self-esteem to it. Here's an open question for you and me. When do we reach for status to define ourselves? And what does it cost us when we do? I should state the construct in plain English. Status is other people's scoreboard that they read when they think about us. Self-esteem is the story we believe about our own worth when we think about ourselves. These talk to each other, but they're not the same. What it isn't is a destiny. You're not doomed to chase approval. Could the solution be to design healthier channels for esteem and to base it on actions you can repeat, not on things that cost a fortune and can be taken away? Perhaps some context first. My foster father is here plogging, happy in clothes he's owned for years, the exact ones you've seen in previous videos. He buys rarely, and only for function. My foster mother rolls her eyes, fondly, and says she's accepted being married to a man who'll always look like he's never had a paid job in his life. It's a running joke at home, and he laughs the loudest. Now let's map the idea. When esteem leans on status, mood rides a seesaw. When esteem leans on actions, mood finds footing. I've watched friends, older, earning more than me, tip into debt for fashion drops, a prestige car, a home renovation that's a good backdrop for TikTok. The price isn't just money, it's time and attention that could have underwritten personal growth, or community, or care. And yet, I won't pretend status never matters. In dating, first impressions count. In job hunting, signals help. In some research, they're linked with opportunities, but they don't decide your fate. The trick is proportion, using status as a tool at the right times, without letting it become the measure of a life. My mentor, old David, talks about his first date shirt, the one that he bought in his late 20s to go on first dates and nightclubs. He says it was his one status item, and it did its job perfectly. Back with me now, editing the footage of my foster father picking up litter in Mount Gambier. This city tells a different story, one where care shows. Kerbs are clean, bins aren't overflowing, verges are swept. Last week in Adelaide, the footpaths told the same tale. And my foster father, well, where we live, he has tried to share this ethic. He's spoken with community groups, with church folk, with neighbours on their morning walks. People praise him. They call it inspiring. But the suburb has kept drifting towards being covered in litter. At first, that disheartened him. No one likes pushing on a door that stays shut. He refused to become frustrated, so he shifted lanes. He's decided to focus on picking up litter in wild places and in towns that already look after themselves, because care is contagious. If you need proof, look down. Mount Gambier's streets are almost spotless. Here's a diary thread from my mum Liz to hold our lens steady. Liz wrote this while travelling the USA with her childhood friend David in mid-1993. We must look law-abiding. A policeman with a sniffer dog walked the bus, asked for a particular woman, talked about guns, and, somehow, skipped our bags. She said that tiny exemption felt like safety and a status pass, and it carried a sting, the temptation to believe you deserve to be waved through. Later on that same Greyhound bus ride in Pennsylvania, Mum wrote, somewhere after passing St. Mary's, for a minute we had our own private bus. One man got off, seats opened, and there was the sweetness of having a private bus, until she noticed another passenger up front and the bubble popped. In her words, you can hear the seesaw, a mood lifted by a status lift, then dropped by a correction. Fragile, costly. Even with something as seemingly silly as owning a bus ride. I wonder what silly, objectively meaningless things you see around you that coalesce into social status. What are their benefits, and what are their costs? I think about that as my foster father searches for litter in Mount Gambier. I also think about the cost side of status we don't often itemise. Financial, yes, but also mental bandwidth. If we peg esteem to signals, we're always auditing. Is my car still signalling to the right tribe? Are my clothes still scoring attention? Do my holiday photos look aspirational enough? How exhausting. And here's a thornier bit. Perhaps my foster father's low-status presentation, a bike instead of a car, the same clothes, his self-deprecating humour, makes it easier for some to dismiss the message. Perhaps the act itself, picking up litter, gets coded as beneath us, a kind of public civility rather than shared stewardship. If esteem is tethered to status, you can see how quickly the mind might say, "That's someone else's job. I won't be seen doing that." Past episodes have been pressing on the same nerve from different angles. In Adelaide, we named the construct appearance-contingent self-esteem, the fragility of letting the mirror set your worth. In Yarraman, we mapped the concept called trait channel fit, how life works better when your lifestyle suits your temperament. And on Mount Tambourine, we used one small physical task to cut through task paralysis. Today's Mount Gambier thread adds a related caution. When self-esteem leans on social status, mood rides a seesaw. When it leans on repeatable care, it steadies. Let's make a local note to ground that thought. Mount Gambier sits on the cratered country of dormant volcanoes, its lakes fed by limestone aquifers that turn the blue lake a summer blue. The town's pride shows in small practicalities, tidy medians cared for verges, civic gardens that aren't left to plastic. None of that arrives by accident. It arrives by countless low-status actions. Council workers and volunteers, and residents doing the small things that no one claps for. The status points accrue elsewhere. The esteem, the quiet satisfaction that comes from taking action. I also wonder about the wider crew my foster father knows. People doing genuinely restorative work. They care little for their own social presentation. They're not the ones optimizing their model-perfect poses in front of famous landmarks. They're planting forests one tree at a time, running through the streets, picking up litter in a banana suit, sowing rainforest seeds into planters under a corrugated iron roof. Is there a barrier here? If the wider community reads these people as low status and looks away, then the best exemplars go unnoticed. That's a public cost. But privately, this matters because they might be saving themselves. Because when esteem is action-based, it doesn't vanish with the season. It's inexpensive, repeatable, durable. It's also, and this is important, shareable. Perhaps helping one person base their self-esteem on picking up litter is more important than 1 million people watching 20 seconds of your YouTube short. If that sounds like a simple but naive moral, I'll complicate it. I'm not immune to the tug of status. In my 20s, I'm learning the hard way that buying the right shoes rarely fixes the wrong day. It just delays the conversation I needed to have with myself. I still like good design. I still want to present well when it helps. During an interview, at a first meeting, if I ever get back into dating. But I'm learning to ask, will this purchase actually deepen my life? Or is it just renting esteem from strangers? Most days, I want the worn sole kind of worth that Liz noticed on that greyhound, the evidence of miles. So, it's time for a reflection to carry us forward. Status can lubricate moments, dating, hiring, opening the first doors. Perhaps use it lightly and then let it go. Build esteem on actions you can repeat when no one is watching. Noticing opportunities for tidying, caring, sustaining. If you try that here in Mount Gambier, you'll feel oddly at home, because people already are. And if where you live feels resistant, do what my foster father did. Find the places where care already has traction and add your shoulder there. Momentum is its own reward. We'll end where we always do, with an invitation. There's a pinned map in the comments. If you're local, walk one of these or just your own street and pick up 5 small things. If you're not local, design your own lane. Something low status that builds real value. As for us, we're going to visit some of those quiet restorers we know. I've asked my foster father to seek them out and plog alongside them. And he said yes without hesitation, eager as ever to spend another day doing the kind of work that never trends and always counts. There's that pinned map below. If you pass through Mount Gambier, enjoy the crater lakes, pause by the sinkholes, and please pick up 5. It may not push you up the social ladder, but you'll always know what you did, quietly,